So they did it. Meta laid off 11,000 people, 13% of the company. Here's how it went down from my perspective, what I felt in the days afterwards, and how I'm looking at the situation going forward. To set expectations, I shot this video in the weekend after the layoffs happened. So whatever has been going on since then isn't captured. This is really about that raw, initial, immediate experience. You may remember I shot an initial push up and ponder video about the potential of layoffs, which I recorded on Sunday when the Wall Street Journal first put the article out. And in the days that followed at work, people were talking about it, but we weren't sure if it was real. Tuesday, rumors started to get more detailed. And when you have more details, you know it might happen. I actually had a final team meeting and I said, hey, I just want to acknowledge, hopefully it's not a big deal, but if it happens, I'm so glad to have worked with you all and believe in every one of you. And at the time it felt a little corny. Why are we making such a big deal out of this? Maybe it's nothing, nothing's been substantiated. But in retrospect, I'm really glad I did that because it was basically the last time that our team was able to be together. And so Wednesday rolls around and I wake up early, but my phone is in the other room. And so I was ignoring it. I didn't really want to check. I had mentally prepared myself to potentially be let go, but I wasn't in a rush to find out. And I was also preparing to go to the office to meet one of my friends who was actually leaving Meta of his own accord for one last lunch. Some people were saying don't go in the offices, but then turned out that the offices were open. So we ended up going anyway. I biked to work and the first thing we got was an email from Mark saying, hey, I'm announcing there are layoffs. I take responsibility. Here's what we're doing. At first it was if you get an email that says you've been impacted, then you were part of the layoffs. But if you didn't get an email, then you were fine. And so obviously that's a little bit of a dicey situation. But eventually they did send a second email that was like, hey, if you're getting this email, you're definitely not impacted. Luckily for me, I got that email. My manager, my manager's manager, all the way up the chain, there wasn't really an effect for me, which I mean was great because I get to keep that continuity. I had lunch with my friend, which was nice, and we talked about what happened. He also wasn't affected, although some of his other team members were. And then we watched the Mark presentation to the company, and a lot of the other meetings for the day were canceled. Most of my team is on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, and I start seeing people coming in reporting that they had been affected. And at first it was just like one or two people on the team, and I was like, okay, that's not so bad. But as the day went on, more and more people kept coming out and saying, hey, I was impacted too, I was impacted too. By the end of it, 5 out of the 7 engineers that I worked with, the product marketing manager, the user researcher that I work with were impacted. My main product designer was also reorged as part of this, so she's no longer working directly on the project anymore. It was like the Thanos snap, except it was like a rolling snap and you're just like waiting to see who was affected. And some of them got to squeeze out a workplace post and people were posting contact info, here's my email, here's my phone number. People were chatting each other being like, hey, I see that you're still at the company, so hopefully that means you're good. I'm just glad that you're still here. Which is like a weird thing to say. That's how it feels because all of a sudden, all these people who were with you are no longer with you. And I made this prediction in my old video. I'm in the core Facebook product on communities. So, that's like a pretty important part of the company. There are people who are working on things where, on my old team, I would be more concerned actually. And I was dead wrong. Our team got pretty much decimated. My old team, there was basically one guy who was let go, which is a bummer for him, but everybody else stayed. So it's a slow day, weird day. So it was hard to get a lot done anyway because everyone's just so distracted. I went through a range of emotions throughout the day. It started with surprise that so many people on my team were affected by the layoffs. And then a sense of sadness that I was losing all these team members, and not just the team members themselves, but this sense of community, this sense of connection that we had as a group, as our team, right? Like we knew ourselves by this group of people and the work that we did, and that was changing. A little sheepish about my previous video where I, with a little bit of bravado, a little bit of giddiness, is this sense of, oh, my team's not gonna be affected, I'm super important, our work is super important. My old team they're going to be affected. Obviously wrong about that. It's like how people can get hyped for war. And I remember before when 9/11 happened and we were deciding to invade Afghanistan and Iraq, it was like that early days of, yeah, let's go get it. But then the casualties roll in and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, this is serious. I shot that video when it's like an abstract concept, the layoffs weren't real yet. And I feel a bit embarrassed now looking back at that video, to be honest. I felt a sense of concern for my teammates. A lot of them are pretty early in their career, so this is something that is going to affect them and maybe set them back a little bit. It's obviously a tricky job market right now because so many layoffs are happening all across the industry. Some of the folks are a bit older, have families to support, and so that's also a challenge, right? Maybe they're further along, they have a better network, but they also just have more responsibilities and more expectations and more to take care of. Selfishly, I felt a sense of disappointment that my experience day-to-day at work was never going to be the same. I had switched onto this team. They'd welcomed me with open arms, and we'd really built a dynamic and a relationship together, and that was all going away. I guess I should say grateful that I still did have a job and that I wasn't impacted. I think I would have had 5 months of severance because of my tenure. Part of me is, hey, that's not a bad deal, all things considered, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of unknowns, and still grateful ultimately that I am where I am. And finally, I felt a sense of curiosity. What's going to happen now? The company has never gone through this kind of a mass layoff. This is its first time. And I've been through other companies going through mass layoffs, and things changed, and sometimes for the better, and certainly the culture changes. And that's just interesting, right? So there's a sense of curiosity that I have about what's going to change about working at Meta going forward. The rest of the week went by quickly, bit of a blur, but what I did get to do is talk to my manager and my skip manager, and they both emphasized to me, hey, I'm really glad you're still here. I'm so sorry that you've lost a lot of your team. It's a surprise to me. I didn't know, I didn't have a say in this, and I'm surprised that they took so many because your work is super important. It turns out my project will continue as is. No changes. Obviously, timelines are shifting and who's going to do the work is shifting, but the work itself was very much still on. Mark struck this interesting balance where on Wednesday, he obviously showed a lot more sadness and disappointment, maybe in himself, just like trying to show that he felt the pain of doing the layoffs and that this was a last resort move. This was something that they didn't want to do, but they felt that they had to do. And then trying in the day after and the days to come, there were things to be optimistic about, that the company had survived these kinds of challenges before. Big one being the transition from web to mobile in 2012, which a lot of people didn't think that they'd be able to do because Facebook is a website, not a mobile app. Now it's a mobile first product. This is a tough kind of piece of communication to deliver, right? To say, it's unfortunate that we had to do this. We've done it. We made the choice to do this. Let's get on board with the future. It may be a little bit hard, but we can do it. We can succeed. We're grateful for everyone that we had, but also kind of like we can do it without them. When you look at Twitter and you look at Elon, I guess you see how poorly this can be done. We now have this other example of another billionaire, another successful entrepreneur who is just running roughshod, sending random emails in the middle of the night, not coordinated in any way, and just throwing people's lives into disarray. When you compare it to that, I think it looks a lot better. So that's all I have for now. I had PTO planned for the week of Thanksgiving, and I took it. So this is really just a follow-up to that earlier push up and ponder where I didn't know if it was going to happen, and I laid out my thoughts. Having had it happen, I wanted to share that with you fairly immediately. Like I said earlier, I am curious to see how things change and what my work experience is like. There were a bunch of projects that were canceled, and so I expect people from those canceled projects to come into our team, and we'll build a new team, we'll build a new dynamic, and yes, it won't be the same, but hopefully it will be good in its own way. Thanks for staying tuned. If you're interested in this type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. And yeah, I'll see you in a future video.